the serious business of our daily lives was just like, running. So by the time we were starting a band so this is the 50s, by the time we were starting a band in 64, Gene and I really understood the value of repetition. Like you sing it, you practice it over and over again, and then when we started to form a band, then you had to do it with other people.
Were you here then, in the States when you started bands?
No, we didn't start a band until 64. We moved here in 61. So what was a hit in 61 when I was in junior high? Run Around Sue. Which is I can still remember, I remember the beat. Hey, hey, da, 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 hey, hey, So that's the kind of stuff that we were kind of learning. And by the time we could do Land of a Thousand Dances, na, 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 we must have done that song. I'm going to say 1,000,000 times, 1,000 times for sure.
Did anybody read that guy just died? The lead singer just passed away.
Oh, really? Oh.
Garcia or something.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I've always really appreciated harmony, which is why Beatles had such a massive effect on harmony.
Yes.
And
Right.
when I heard you guys be bad, it was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, those harmonies are amazing.
I'm glad it was amazing for you. I mean, for us, it was so natural, because we had that ear training already.
Right.
And I'll tell you something. Secretly, we really felt that Badge was our song. That was written for girls to sing. Yes, I told you not to wander around in the park in the dark and all that kind of stuff. That's what we were. We didn't talk about it, but we knew it was dangerous to be a girl. And what were we doing? We were lugging amps and drums into our cars and going off into the night, doing gig after gig after gig,
No parental supervision.
Well, I'll tell you, this is how our first band started. Jean and I were doing hootenannies, and her boyfriend was a bass player in a surf band. So we would go to their gigs. So surf we knew really well. I mean, in fact, within a year we were doing a backyard gig with the Surfaris. I remember clearly the drummer wasn't wearing shoes. But, we already had the form in our bodies. That's the thing. The earlier you can get the form in, the more that you can pump out, that you can call your own. Because it's all borrowing from whomever or whatever, right? So we were doing hootenannies, and oh my God, we made friends with 2 other girls. That was a real big thrill. So now we had friends. And they were a duo, like me and Jean. And they were Sandy and Kathy. June and Jean, Sandy and Kathy. So we started to get together and just sit around and play, show each other stuff. And we got to the point where we were doing Heat Wave with 4 acoustic guitars and all the harmonies. So that was sort of our secret blank check, because in doing songs like Dancing in the Street, Mr. Postman, all those top 40 songs that had backing parts, guess what the Beatles were singing? Same songs, right? They were singing the girl songs. They didn't care. They didn't give a shit. If you said something that John didn't like, he'd just punch you in the face. Boom! It wasn't a thing. And so they learned the same parts that we were learning, and I think was part of the secret of their success. Other boy bands were too embarrassed to do the backup parts. They didn't do "Come See About Me." Which is, by the way, a great dance song. Great dance song. I can still play those songs easily, just by myself, and you can dance to it because it has all the elements implied already. So all of us were in the kitchen, me and Jean and I. This is like a movie. In fact, there is going to be a movie at some point. I hope they put this in. We were painting the kitchen, and I was facing the sink, and there was a phone to on the wall to my left, and it rang, and I picked it up. And it was this girl, and she said, "Hi, I'm Kathy, and I'm from something Johnson, a new high school that Hiram Johnson High School. And I heard about you girls, and I heard that you're good. I heard you're good. And I'm a drummer. Do you guys want to start a band?" I mean, just like that. And I put my hand over, I looked over at you, and I said, "Let's start a band." She thought about it for a couple of seconds. So yes. So that's how it all started. It really started with that phone call. Now we get to the place where Gene and I are asking our parents, can we start a band? My mom was all for it because she could see how happy it made us. I mean, so nothing was going to stop us. She understood that. My dad said, "Well, who's going to take care of you?" Well, we didn't have an answer for that. We found a lot of people who took care of us because they just wanted to hang out with us. You know, we brought the music and the lights into their lives because they would go to us to our gigs. And what was going on then? 64, Vietnam War was starting. All right, now you needed the entertainment for the officers' clubs, for the enlisted men. We played a lot of Air Force bases, you know, where they loved it when we did apples, peaches, pumpkin pie. My Girl. I mean, it drove them crazy. The second we started My Girl, they would jump up. They had dates, and they would just rush to the dance floor. So we saw what was turning them on. You know, it was literally making them as excited as we were to perform it. But what turned them on was that. It was that beat. It was that message. It was a message that got to the essentials very quickly. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. Okay? There you go. You're off. You've got them. You know? And they loved us. They loved us because we were doing their songs, which, and the letter. I mean, come on. You know, an incredible. Give me a ticket to an airplane.
But you were also
Yeah,
girls,
time.
right? That helped.
But you know, we had to mix the gender up in the lyrics, but nobody gave a fuck. Because everyone felt so good. That was the name of the game. Feeling good. There's a song called Feeling Good. I mean, I remember we did I'm a Man and Bree sang lead on it. Who cared? They did not care.
Good Lovin' by the Rascals.
Absolutely, we did that. Good Love, and I do it now.
Yeah.
It's such a great song. Good love, do da 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 da. Good love, do da 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 da. So we were learning all those different rhythms, how you can put them in as signature parts of the song. You don't have to just play this over and over and start the word with a song. I'm so sad, right? Bum dum bum 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 boo doo da da da. Good love, da 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 da. Well, we knew that. We knew that to our bones, you know. It's just something that I can call up anytime, day or night. I'll probably do it on my deathbed, you know. But those songs are so great. We even did, I hate to say it, Red Riding Hood.
Little Red Riding Hood?
Yeah, that's a pretty crappy tune for girls. We sang it. Little Red Riding Hood, feeling good. Yeah, exactly. But we didn't know. I mean, I can say 100% we had no idea what they were talking about. Some girl was lost in the woods. Okay, let's do this cool tune. It's fun, you know. Light My Fire. In fact, we auditioned at the Fillmore West the same day that the Doors auditioned, and neither of us got the gig. Yeah, but hey, I'm still alive and he's dead, you know, so there's something to say for that. I don't have his massive hits, but I'm alive. You know, there are little exchanges that you have to make with the universe, you know.
So, Nikki was the last one to join.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, I remember very clearly, and there's a photo of all these little cards that we were turning into art and putting up everywhere, where we were looking for a keyboard player, and she saw it at the Musicians Contact Service on Sunset. There's down by the Capitol building. I know because I went down there myself. And so she came, but you know, secretly, Nikki just needed a job. She didn't want to play with other women. She wanted to be the only woman in the band. But I didn't know that, you know. So we had found we had found a couple of other keyboard players, one of whom I'm still in touch with today. She's just a great gal. Her name was Donna Pence. But she wasn't as fiery as Nikki, you know, could get. And then there was a black woman who was a teacher, and she lived down in wherever black people lived, I didn't even know. And she was so sweet. She was a mom. She was a single mom. And she played with us for a while, and that was really, really nice. But she actually didn't have a choir. And then there was Darlene from Nashville. So what would happen is the record company would hear about some girl somewhere who could play something, and they'd fly her in because we were desperate. And they flew, I would say, had to be at least 10 young women in to audition with us. But none of them quite worked out except Nikki, and she only kind of did it involuntarily. She needed a job, so she joined it. At the time, we would play this one lesbian bar called Bacchanal in order to pay our rent, because Warner Brothers paid the rent for, I don't know, a couple of years or something, but then they stopped. So we needed the rent money, and so she played. And she knew all those hits. I don't know how. See, she never told us anything about herself. Nothing. Nothing. She came with a husband, and she rehearsed with us, but she actually did not want to join the band. So what happened? Off she went with Leon Russell in that whole thing. What's the name of that tour?
Mad Dogs.
Mad Dogs and Englishmen. So Nikki went off of that, and our photographer, Linda Wolf, who lived with us at Fanny, that's how we have all those photos, those black and white photos, which are fantastic. And those were taken on my dad's Leica. Because she was a little bit frantic, because she quit her job at Reprise. This is how she described it. I was sitting, you know, typing or whatever, and Richard said, oh, these girls are coming by, so would you welcome them and take them to my office? So she said, and these chicks, you guys came in with your long hair and you smelled like cream rinse. And I couldn't believe it, and my eyes just went, I mean, she never experienced that. You don't have a boy band coming in smelling like cream rinse. And it was a good smell. I mean, we took care of our hair. You know, we had long hair, which you have to take care of, or you're just a punk, you know. And we were not punks. We were young women. We knew how to dress ourselves. We knew how to put together a PA, you know, ourselves. We knew how to drive it around. We knew how to set up our amps. We knew how to do the harmonies. We knew all the top 40 songs. Don't fuck with us. You know, that was our attitude.
June, when did Gene get on the bass? Was that at the time of the band forming in '64?
Yeah, apparently we flipped a coin.
I wondered how you chose.
Our drummer remembers that. I don't remember it at all. But we flipped a coin, and I won keep staying on guitar. She was
Right, somebody has to
pissed.
take the bass.
She was mad. She was mad. But it didn't take her long. You know, and you have to be a really hard worker. I mean, that's one of the things I feel about Filipinas. We're taught how to study, you know. We know discipline. And therefore, that translated very easily into, I mean, the first song she learned on bass was Still in Love with You, Baby by the Beau Brummels. And the bass was boom, 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 boom. It's just, you know. But it's a good track. And it took us no time at all. The thing didn't finish my story about Kathy, the drummer. So we said, yeah, we'll start a band with you. So me, Gene, Sandy, and Kathy the drummer, whose name started with a K, we would go to her house, which was not that far from our house, like 10 minutes. We'd sit up in the living room, and her parents would sit on, like you, like that far from us, on the couch. cross her arms and legs and just look at us like we were TV. And that had to be okay. I mean, we were getting to play. And my mom had gone to a music store and signed for equipment behind my dad's back.
Oh, wow.
So we bought, we bought amps, guitars, we bought a small PA, maybe $500. But that's a lot of money in '64. And we had it paid off under a year, because we started getting gigs right away. I'm sorry, what?
How could you have done that though? Because back then women weren't allowed to do a lot of things.
I don't know how she did it. She did it. I mean, my mom nothing was going to stop her because nothing was going to stop us.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she did it.
She got the gigs.
She got the gear for us.
The gear?
She signed. They must have had something for her to sign. There weren't any
I mean,
credit cards, so she
Yeah.
signed for it. Yeah.
I mean, because
I don't know. Sacramento,
you
California.
could get a credit card.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on
Or buy a
underneath.
house as a woman.
Sacramento is really a town of desperados. It's right at the foothills of the gold country. People don't really quite realize that. And so it had that vibe actually underneath the veneer of being the capital of California. So, we started to get gigs right away. We would lie about our ages. They didn't care because we brought in the clientele. There wasn't people coming around to check to see if you were actually 21. We were like 17, And I remember very clearly the smell of sawdust being poured onto the floors when we walked in the afternoon to set up and do our sound check to soak up all the beer that was spilled the night before. That is my first memory of rock and roll, actually, is sawdust. And then after that is the smell of the amps heating up, those tubes. I love that smell. Love that smell. So there's a lot associated, in terms of my memory. It's not just remembering things, it's smells also. And let's don't forget, 64, okay, Vietnam War. Then probably by 66, 67, 65 Civil Rights Bill was passed. 66, 67, what was I going to say about that? Gosh, it'll come to me. Teen centers were invented, literally. Teen centers were invented. And I was so happy because I was the one to book the gigs. So now I could contact a teen center in Santa Clarita. And we drive down, we do the gig, we make a couple $100, So we did, the area that we did was north to Chico. That was, for us it was a 4-hour drive because I think we drove so slow with all our gear. Fresno, Monterey, a lot. Monterey, Santa Cruz, San Francisco, all that. So of course, all San Francisco aura and bands were hitting us very much. But we still didn't play those guys' songs. We didn't think they were our style. The girls, the Motown was still our style, is what we reacted to, So east, we didn't go too far east, actually. What's there? Las Vegas. We did Reno, but that's north still, northeast, That's as far as we went. I mean, we played Harris in Reno at the end of the summer of '66. So I remember we had to walk straight from the door to the backstage. And I also remember that Alfie and Little Help of My Friends were both hits that summer. In fact, I remember driving to a park in Lake Tahoe and just stopping the car just to listen to those tracks. Little Help of My Friends came on. It's just like just the bass part. Those are the kinds of things that would floor me because I couldn't keep driving the first time I heard Stop in the Name of Love. I had to pull over. I couldn't think. It just like my mind froze. I mean, I had to pull over and just, same thing with Sounds of Silence, such great tracks that they just wouldn't let me do anything else. They just totally consume me, you know. And so to serve with love, you know, walk away, Renee. We did all those songs. Maybe we didn't do Sounds of Silence, maybe not. I don't remember.
In the meantime, were you zeroing in on playing better guitar? I mean, when did that start?
Yeah, well, I didn't have a glimmer of a hope of playing lead. I didn't know who to go to, you know. Once in a while I would meet a guy in a band and I'd ask him if he'd show me something, but that was fraught because a guy could not believe that a girl was serious about playing guitar. So he assumed I was coming on to him, so I had to negotiate that as well, which was like, so tiring, you know. But there were a couple of nice guys who did teach me stuff. One was a folk player, and he taught me really good stuff. He's really nice. And this lead guitar player in another band. And I describe it in the book. I describe that I watched him walk away from me, and he was walking into his present life, which was lead guitar, and I was still waiting for my time, which I didn't know I was waiting for. I'd be playing lead guitar like in 3 years, you know. But the reason I got into, so I played rhythm guitar really well. I mean, that's my main thing. And I watched Jimi Hendrix. I saw his first gig, not opening for the Monkees, right? And I asked Peter Tork about that, by the way. I said, is it true that Jimmy opened for you guys and your audience hated him? And he said, oh yeah. They booed him, they threw stuff on stage, get out of here! Yeah. So I saw his first gig, and literally, as I describe in my book, Land of a Thousand Bridges, I would always try to stand in front of the the lead guitar player. And I didn't know really who he was, although I do have a story about the first time I heard him. And I definitely didn't know about the blues, because Albert King followed him. And no, Albert King opened up for Jimmy. That's right. And that was oh my God, 1-2 punch. I was out, man. Oh my God. My hair, you know. But there was this kid who was always trying to stand right in the spot in front of the guitar player, and we would be, you know, trying to jostle each other. And that was when I saw Santana's first album. I realized, oh, that's that kid. So we were both learning the same way. But Jimmy, I mean, he always said that rhythm was his preference over beat. He loved that. But and I realized that actually I don't really like Neil Young's lead playing, but Mr. Soul, that guitar line he has, I heard it again about 10 years ago, and I thought to myself, shit, that's what I do. And it's ostinato. You just do it over and over and over again, you know? And that's the key. I mean, that's one of the things I do try to pass on to the girls, that don't worry about doing something over and over. If it's the part, it's got to be in there, and somebody's got to do it, you know? There's a lot of songs that if you take out the key part, it's just another song, you know? So that's a somewhat of a hard thing for the girls to learn, because they want to be playing something sensational all the time. Whereas, listen to "Walking the Dog," you know, that song we did for years straight, hands down. You know, we drive up to Reno, we go in. Always, when we started playing "Walking the Dog," the dance floor would get filled up just like that. So we knew it worked, you know, and we would try songs that would. I can't even remember the songs that we tried that didn't work, because we got rid of them really fast. They only lasted one night, maybe. But we had such, you know, I would say that especially those Air Force Base gigs, had such a big influence on us because they gave us their hearts. They gave us their love. We could feel like this wheel of love turning because we all loved the same songs. And these guys knew they were going off to war. We were going back to high school. You know, and there was one gig in Monterey at the Officers Club. It overlooks the bluff, you know, right by the ocean, and it had to have fit 5,000 soldiers. And they were all trying to rush the stage. They had a line of MPs in front of us. And as we were leaving the base in our bus, which our dad had modified for us, one of the guard in the guardhouse said, "Listen, I just want to apologize, you know, for the guys' behavior because they went insane." And he said, because you know they've just been in basic training, they haven't seen a girl in months, and they're going out tomorrow. They're flying out tomorrow for Vietnam. And so that was part of the reason why I meant so much to them, because they didn't know they were going to live or die. And these were the songs that were their mom and apple pie. That was their flag, you know, were those songs. I'll be there to love and comfort you. You know, I had that bass part, that repetitive. It just really got in your soul. And we knew those parts. We knew how to play them. We knew how they were put together. We would open a lot for black bands, and they were the most helpful. We would ask them, "How do you do that?" You know, and they would show us. So we'd sit after, you know, like at 2 a.m, and the girls who had been dancing in the cages on either side of us, which was de rigueur. We always had 2 girls in cages who danced. You know, they were having a cigarette and a drink, and we'll all just be hanging out. We were asking these guys, you know, how do you do blah, blah, blah? And they would happily share that information with us, which was really fantastic. And so that's how we got it in our bodies. We got it definitely in our bodies, and we could see what worked. If they got up and danced, it was working. If they just sat there and listened, twiddled with their drinks, that song was gone. Yeah. You must have some comments or anything.
So you got to LA at some point, right?
Well, so I saw Jimmy in, I think it was January or February. Also, around the same time, we opened for Sly at Lake Tahoe. Sly and the Family Stone, who had not quite broken out yet. And I had heard about them from a helicopter pilot who came to our gig in Reno, summer '66. He was on leave, and he came every night. We played till 5 in the morning every night. That was, every gig we did was till 5 in the morning at a club.
Starting when? Starting at what time?
About 9 or 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long night.
No child labor laws in rock and roll. They didn't even know we existed. That's how we could lie.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Did you ever play overseas, like in the Philippines?
No.
No?
No.
That's interesting.
And by the time we heard about the Philippines, it was through the Beatles. And they had such a terrible, they thought they were going to die there. So that's why we never played the Philippines, I'm pretty sure.
Have you done anything since then? Like,
One time when I turned 60, I went home and I stayed with my aunt and uncle. And a young woman who was going to Smith was going to UP for that 1 year as an exchange student. And she set up a club gig for me, which I played for like 2 or 3 nights. And that was a ball. It was packed. So that was great. But no, I haven't been there formally as June Millington of Fanny, you know.
yeah.
However, I don't know if you know this, but yesterday an article came out on Rolling Stone Philippines.
Oh.
And how that came out is that there is a group of people who are intent on putting on a musical about Fanny in Manila.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so they're negotiating with my lawyer right now to base it on my book, so.
I was shocked because like I thought maybe you and Jude might have connected this, you know, Central Garden.
Yeah.
And connected.
It would have been great, but it just, you know, whoever was handling it. And I haven't really have had a manager since I left Fanny. So it's been just